Finally, the Ukrainian citizens are doing the right thing. They've decided to take to the street. They've decided to make their voices heard all around the world. They have started a massive protest against Zelensky's government. What changed? How did we get here? How come all of a sudden the Ukrainian citizens decided to start a protest against the government?
Big Shy, the only reason is that Russia meddles in internal politics of Ukrainian. And from what I've gathered, Vladimir Putin sponsored the protest with the aim of removing Jewish Zionists from power so he can have an easy ride in Ukrainian mineral deposits and control the area of land that is rich with minerals in Ukraine.
Zelensky is doing everything to remove any obstacles in the way so that he can remain in power. He is removing literally anything that can challenge him as a leader of the country. Zelensky put out a bill yesterday weakening the position of the anti-corruption agencies in the country.
You just listen to Big Shy backlash on Vladimir Zelensky over Ukraine protest. When Russians protested, Big Shy say it's the West that wants to destroy Russia. Let's compare between the two, the Vladimir Putin Russia and Vladimir Zelensky's Ukraine, and compare how they handle criticism, protests, and power. In today's world, leadership is tested not just by words and policies, but by how leaders respond to their own people when they raise their voices. Few days ago in Ukraine, when President Vladimir Zelensky signed a controversial bill that weakened anti-corruption agencies, the people protested. Thousands of young Ukrainians filled the streets in Kyiv, Lviv, Dnipro, and Odessa. They held signs, chanted shame, and demanded change. And you know what happened? No one was dragged into prison. No one was tortured. No one was silenced by force. Because despite the growing frustration in Ukraine, Ukraine still respects democratic values, a government led by President Vladimir Zelensky. People can protest without fear. The media remains free. Activists speak openly. Even the government's biggest critics, like Vitaly Shubonin, gave interviews without being locked away. This is what democracy looks like under pressure, imperfect, yes, but alive. Now, look east to Russia under Putin. There, protest is not a right, it's a crime. When the Russian people stood up against the war in Ukraine, they were met with brutality and repression. Since 2022, new war censorship laws make it illegal to criticize the military or even call the war a war. You can be jailed for 10 to 12, even 15 years for a simple social media post. Over 20,000 Russians undergo different instances of severe reprisal treatment, even in custody. Some are denied health care they require or are subjected to forced psychiatric treatment. Some are placed in isolation or receive new arbitrary charges. Take Maria Ponomarenko, 6 years in prison for writing about the bombings of Mariupol, or Daria Kezereva, a young medical student facing up to 7 years for sharing a Ukrainian poem. Others have been jailed for arts, poetry, or funding a blogger. In Putin's Russia, the art of dissent is labeled treason. So ask yourself, which leader respects human rights? Which country allows people to protest without arrest? The answer is clear. Zelensky led a democracy, flawed but free. Putin rules a state built on fear and authoritarianism. Now let's tackle a tough question. Who is more likely to be a dictator? Is it the leader who, challenged by street protest and international criticism, and doesn't arrest the protesters? Or the one who silences every critic, jails peaceful women, crushes free press, and makes laws that criminalize truth? Putin is the clear dictator here. He has no tolerance for opposition. He rewrote Russia's constitution to stay in power until 2036. He controls court elections and media. His critics don't retire, they disappear. Zelenskyy, on the other hand, is being accused of sliding into authoritarianism, but the people are calling him out, and he hasn't stopped them. In fact, their voices are growing louder. And finally, the big debate: who is more powerful and smart? That depends on how you define power. If power means controlling everything through fear, Putin wins. He's built a fortress around himself, but if power is about earning your people's trust and fighting for your country's future, Zelenskyy is far smarter. He rallied the world to support Ukraine. He united his people in the face of invasion. He navigates war while still allowing protest, something Putin wouldn't never risk. So yes, Putin may be more brutal, but Zelenskyy is more strategic, respected, and human. In the end, the difference between these two men is the difference between freedom and fear, democracy and dictatorship. And history will remember not just how they led during war, but how they treated the people who dared to speak out. Think well. Let's know in the comment section. Remain blessed and be guided.